question in the hearings, how are you going to react if Trump does this or Trump says this? He says, well, we're just going to keep our heads down and working. Maybe that's the problem. Their heads are down. They can't see what's right in front of them, right? Maybe they should look up, right, and take a look at the data. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but one thing he said yesterday when he spoke in front of the Senate, he said that inflation expectations remain well anchored at 2%. Well, what do you mean? On Friday last week, and I spoke about it on this podcast, we had a huge surge in inflation expectations, the highest since 2008 at 4.1. So if consumers now expect 4.1% inflation, how is it that Powell is saying that the expectations are still well anchored at 2%? I mean, only Republicans think that inflation is going to be 2%. In fact, they think it's going to be zero. The Democrats, think it's going to be 5%. But the average with the independents and all that is 4.1. So, Trump is, Powell is just completely wrong. And, of course, if you look at how, the numbers came out, the Democrats jumped all over this to blame it on Trump. Schumer's called it Trumpflation. Hey, Trumpflation is here. He looked at the January numbers to say it's Trumpflation. Well, Trump was only president for 10 days in January, right? Biden was president for 20. So how is it Trump's fault? In fact, none of the price increases in January have anything to do with Trump. I mean, there's always a lag. It's going to be Biden inflation for a long time. Eventually, it's going to be Trumpflation. Don't get me wrong. Trumpflation is coming. We just don't have it yet. But the Republicans the Democrats are already blaming it on Trump. And of course, the Republicans are saying it's Bidenflation continuing. But at some point, they're going to own it, right? They're going to own this economy. They're going to own this inflation, which is going to be a big problem for Trump and the Republicans. And, this is why it's so important to be critical of the Republicans and Trump when they deserve to be criticized. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump doesn't get stuff right. There's plenty of things that I like that he's doing, and I don't even have to bother to point those out because there's so many other people who are pointing out all the things that Trump is doing correct, like what's going on with Doge, what's going on with U.S. aid, and all this stuff is great that this is all happening. It's not enough to save us. I mean, it mitigates the problem somewhat. It shines a light on government corruption, which, doesn't surprise me because, the most corrupt people in any country always end up working for government. I mean, that's the way it is. You get power in government. And so corruption is drawn to power and power corrupts. So that's how it happens. In the free market is where you have, honesty because people have to earn a living. They don't have power. They have to, get people to voluntarily do business with them to make money. When you're in government, you use the force of government. People are stuck. You sell your power, and it's very corrupting in nature. But the problem is, since so many Trump backers and Trump, they're talking about how great it's going to be, it's a golden age of America, everything's great. When it doesn't turn out that way, right? Trump is going to get blamed. His policies are going to get blamed. The Republicans are going to get blamed. The Democrats are going to say, I told you so.